Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 6 o'clock. No, it's not. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock and it's time for another video. And today we are going to be talking about the second deal. Now, what is the second deal? Well, basically, the second deal is where you have a deck of cards and you deal a card onto the table, and you're actually not dealing the top card, you're dealing the card second from the top. Now, this is used primarily in gambling demonstrations, and a lot of the time, magicians and gambling experts will almost expose the second deal. They'll turn a card face up on the deck, and they'll start dealing cards, and it looks like those cards are melting out the deck, and they'll say, look how fast I can do a second deal, look how deceptive I can do a second deal. A lot of experts that are talking about gambling techniques and sleights, they'll demonstrate a second deal, they'll demonstrate a bottom deal, they'll demonstrate a center deal, and that's fine, and that's all valid, and that's all great, and not a problem at all. But the second deal does have a lot of magical applications. It has a lot of stuff that you can do. It has a lot of basically ways that you can use it. And look, here's the thing, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have not got the best second deal in the world. My second deal is fine, but I am not a gambling expert. I have never done a gambling show in my entire life. If I was to try and do one, I would fail miserably. I do a passable strike second. That works with a little bit of a necktie. It works absolutely fine in the context of what I use it for. I am not a Darwin Ortiz. I am not a Jason Ledani. I cannot do the perfect second deal. But what I can do is I can do a strike second good enough for anything that I need to use it for. And that's the thing. And I think that's really important, right? I think it's really important to be able to do a decent second deal. It's one of those sleights that a lot of people don't bother learning. And I think it's such a shame, but I think one of the reasons that people don't use the second deal is because there's, generally as a rule, people just think, oh, the only reason you need a second deal is to do a gambling demonstration, or maybe to do a very clean force where you just deal cards onto the table and you show them the card where you say stop. But there are a lot of things that you can actually use the second deal for. And I learned the strike second specifically because I had ideas in my head of what I wanted to use a second deal for, and it was, honestly, it was easier to actually learn it than to not learn it. So I knew I had ideas in my head, and it was like, right, I'm going to need a second deal for this. I can't do a second deal. I'm going to have to learn how to do a second deal. And I would encourage every single person here to use and do a second deal and be able to perform a second deal. Now, there's lots of different versions of second deals. This video is not about teaching you a second deal. I use a strike second. Now, what that means is I just pull down the top card, I take out the second card from the top, and my thumb pulls that card back, and I do it well enough so that it doesn't look like I'm taking the second card. People can do the strike second way better than me, where it doesn't even look like you're pulling that card down. How I do it is absolutely fine. There's lots of other versions of the second deal. You got a push-off second deal. Andy Gladwin's push-off technique was something that I tried to learn for a very, very long time. I've always struggled with the push-off second deal. But, there's probably people watching this video that can do a second deal way better than I can. What I want to do on this video, though, is I want to basically go through 3 different ways of using the second deal that you've probably never seen before. So 3 different ways of using the second deal that you've probably never seen before. Kind of really unique uses of the second deal. Now, these 3 routines are ones that I've kind of, I've come up with them myself, and I've been using them over the course of several years. And I'm going to basically go through them with you now. I'm going to go through them with you. I'm going to explain it to you so you can actually go and do it yourself. So if you can already do a second deal, you can use these routines if you want to. Absolutely got no problem with that at all. And if you don't, hopefully these routines will inspire you to go out and learn how to do a second deal. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it, and we're going to start off with routine number 1, which is kind of a triumph, but not really. So anybody that's been watching this channel for any length of time will know that I love triumph routines. Always have, always will. Triumph routines are absolutely amazing, and I pretty much do a version of triumph in every single gig. Over the course of the years, I've done Triumph routines with gimmick decks. I've got a version on my Visible project by the 1914. I've got several versions on my Cheeky project with Alakazam. A bunch of routines on the Netrix. I love Triumph, I really do. Now, several years ago, I came up with the idea of doing Triumph, but instead of magically sorting the cards out so they're all facing the right way, instead going down the route of having the ability to just deal the face-up cards out the deck. So you shuffle the cards face up into face down, and then you have the ability to basically deal the face-up cards out the deck. Now, I came up with various different ways of doing this, some convoluted, some not so convoluted. There's a couple of different versions on the Netrix. This is the most streamlined version that I've ever come up with, and this is something I've been doing probably for the last 2 or 3 years. It's a very simple way of doing this. If you can do a Brow reversal and a couple of other moves and obviously a second deal, you can do this trick. Now, what's interesting about this is it's a way of doing Triumph without actually doing the typical Triumph presentation. Because typically with Triumph, you're kind of like, right, okay, we're going to shuffle them face up and face down. Magically, I'm going to make them go all the right way. With this, you're kind of going down a completely different route. With this, you're going down the route of saying, well, you know, I'm going to show you something really cool here. I'm going to have you pick a card. Can you pick a card? Great. Lose it in the pack. Wonderful. That's fantastic. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try and find your card. Now, that sounds very difficult to do, right? But I'm going to try and find it in an even harder way. I'm going to shuffle the cards face up into face down. So there's cards face up, there's cards face down. They're all mixed up. Now, how do I find the card? It could be face up, it could be face down. Well, what I'm going to do is try and deal all of the face-up cards out the deck and leave just your card. I know it sounds impossible, but let's do it. And it's kind of an interesting hook and a very different way of doing Triumph. I love performing this. Now, this would, ironically, fit into a gambling kind of demonstration, because you can talk about how you can do a center deal or something. There's lots of different ways of performing this if you're doing gambling demonstrations, but I just present it purely as a magic trick, and it's a really fun presentation and really good use of the second deal. So I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to do a performance of it, and then I'm going to explain exactly how it works. So let's look at a performance and an explanation of the second deal Triumph. So Jack, you're going to help me with this, if that's okay?
Yeah, man.
Exciting stuff. Do you play cards?
A little bit.
A little bit. Just for fun or for money?
Just for fun.
Just for fun. What sort of games do you play?
Poker, blackjack, or chessios.
Okay. And have you ever cheated at cards?
No, too honest
Okay.
for that.
Well, do you know? Obviously, I'm a magician, but
Why you kept that under wraps?
I know, right? Being a magician is very, very different to being a gambler. People think it's linked, and it's not. As a magician, I have to show my skill, because that's what people are booking me to do, right? But as a gambler, you want to hide the skill. You don't want people to know that you're good with the deck of cards, because if people realise that, they won't bet with you, if that makes sense. But a lot of gamblers are really skillful. They can do moves and techniques that a lot of magicians can't do. So, for example, they can do special deals. There's a thing called the bottom deal, where it looks like they're taking the top card of the deck, but they're taking the bottom. The center deal, where it looks like they're taking the top card of the deck, but really they're taking the center. Now, I'm one of the only magicians that at least I know of, and one of the only people in the world that can do a face-up deal. Have you ever heard of a face-up deal before?
Nope.
It's kind of interesting. We're going to have a card pick, so I'll just go through the deck. Just say stop.
Stop.
There, are you sure?
Yep.
We'll put that forward. Are you happy with that one? We can go again if you want to.
Let's stick with that one.
Okay. Doesn't matter whether I see it, it's not that sort of trick. We've got the 5 of spades. Are we okay with that?
Yep.
Now I want you to watch, because I'm going to pop that card right there, down in the middle. You can push it in yourself. Beep. Lovely. And I want you to see that it really is gone down into the middle of the deck. Some people think that I do a move and I bring it to the top, but it's not on the top. That's the ace of hearts. That's not your card, is it? No. Likewise, it's not on the bottom. That's the 10 of hearts. That's not your card. Your card is somewhere in the middle. But even if I knew where it is, and I don't know where it is, it makes no difference. And the reason is, I'm going to do a very special shuffle. I'm going to take half the cards face up. I'm going to take half the cards face down. And I'm actually going to shuffle the cards, if I can do this, face up into face down. There's a technical term for this. It's called a mess, right? Because you've got cards face up being shuffled into face down. So now you've got cards back to face to back. And as I continue to cut, they continue to get more and more mixed up, right?
Yeah.
So now there's a whole bunch of cards face up, a whole bunch of cards face down. If I wanted to sort the cards out so they're all facing the right way, I would have to go through the deck and turn them over one at a time. Unless I can do the face up deal. Now the face up deal looks like this. I can just reach into the deck and I can deal a face up card out the deck. You see, I have the ability to know where every single face up card in the deck is. And if I get it right, I can literally deal every single card out the deck that's face up. See, there's another one right there. And this is the easiest way to actually separate the cards, because all I'm doing all the way through is dealing face up cards. Look. Let's try again. That one. That one. There's another couple there. There's that one. I think there's that one. Right. I think I've dealt all of the face-up cards out except for one. I'm going to leave that last one in there.
You sure?
Yeah, because the last one's your card. And I've left it in there. That's the only face-up cards left. I've dealt all of those face-up cards out. But there's one card left face-up in the middle of the deck, right there in the middle. And that's the 5 of spades. And that is the one that I left. And that is how to do a face-up deal.
Wow.
Any questions? I'll teach you later. Next time you play cards, you can go fleece them. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'm not going to teach you how to do a second deal here. I'm just going to teach you how to do the routine. So to do the triumph, the sort of face-up deal, you're going to take 12 cards. This is the setup. You're going to take 12 cards and you're going to turn them face up. So this is the streamlined version. And to be honest, it's the version I use more often than anything else now. So you've got 12 cards face up and you put 3 cards face down on top. That's your setup. 3 cards face down, 12 cards face up, you're good to go. So when you want to do this routine, you're going to... Now, by the way, you can get into this if you want to on the fly. If you want to get into it in the fly, you're going to get a break underneath 12 cards. Just do a brow reversal, which is going to basically reverse those 12 cards on top of the deck, and then take a break under the top, the 3 cards of the face, these 3, and double undercut them to the back of the deck. That's basically going to give you the setup that you need for this on the fly. When you want to go into this routine, as I'm talking, I shuffle the cards. I just make sure that I don't shuffle into those face down cards there. So cutting off like half of the deck and doing a face up Hindu shuffle is perfect. Doing an overhand shuffle with the faces to the audience and then throwing about half the cards to the back is perfect. Anything like that. But don't make a big deal of it. Do that as you're talking to the spectator. Now, it's going to start off with you getting them to pick a card. It's a free choice, but because there's so many face-up cards here, I don't spread through. I could push off a big block, but I don't risk that. Instead, I just dribble down and I have them say stop, and they'll stop about the halfway point, but as long as they stop before you get into this section, that's great. If they don't say stop by about this point, you just drop the rest of them and say no before I get to the end. But you just dribble down, they say stop. When they say stop, you just push that card forward like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to spin it out and turn it over on top of the deck. But as you spin it out, your thumb is going to push and pull back, and you're going to get a break underneath that top card. So you do that as you take that card out. That goes on top and you do a double turnover to show their card. So technically it's a force, but we're using this double turnover to make the control easy because, you know, there's a whole bunch of face-up cards here. So you're going to show their card. They can sign it if they want to, and then you turn the double down and you lose their card somewhere into the middle of the deck, and it really is lost into the middle because their card's on top. Now we need to secretly reverse this card on the bottom of the deck, and the easiest way to do it is once you've pushed that card into the middle, if you want to turn the deck face up and give it another shuffle, you can do, or you can just go straight into this. It's up to you. You're going to say, look, I want you to see your card isn't on top, and you do a double turnover, which means that their card is actually there. But you turn the double face up, you say your card's not on top. I necktied the deck towards me, so they can't see the top of the deck. And all I'm going to do is push that card off, turn it over and put it back on top of the deck, which reverses their card. So in full speed, that whole sequence looks like this. Michael, say stop.
Stop.
Perfect. So we're going to take that card that you stopped on. Let's have a look at it. We've got the 3 of clubs. Are you happy with that one?
Yeah.
Very good. I'm going to leave that card down in the middle of the deck. We'll give the cards just a little bit of a shuffle so your card gets lost. Now, I have no idea where your card is. It's not on top of the deck, and it's not on the bottom of the deck. And just by doing that, now that card is reversed second from top. So all I'm going to do is double undercut those top two cards to the bottom, making sure that I cut at least halfway down. If I cut into the face-up cards, it doesn't look very good. So I cut about halfway down and just double undercut like that, which means that now I've got their card face-up at the bottom, a whole bunch of face-down cards, a whole bunch of face-up cards, two face-down cards, and we are good. So, what you're going to do now is, and I've just realised you shouldn't actually have two cards on top there. It's because I was explaining stuff. So if you've got three cards on top, when you do the dribble like this, and you do the double turnover, you show the card as the 3, you put it down into the middle, you do the double turnover to show it's not on top, you show it's not on the bottom, you do that double undercut to the bottom, you should end up with just one card on top like that, and that card is reversed. So that's the situation. One cover card on top, whole bunch of face-up cards, face-down cards, their card reversed at the bottom. So now you're going to do a Tenkai optical reverse to apparently shuffle these cards face-up into face-down. All you're going to do is you're going to cut. I like to cut more than half the cards because I don't want to shuffle into these face-up cards. So I'm going to cut about 3/4 of the deck, like that. And the right hand is just going to turn over like that. Now the right hand just turns over like that, and the left hand at the same time turns over like that. Because of that reversed card on the bottom, when I do this, and I cut in the right place, it looks like I've taken half the cards face up and half the cards face down. Now I'm just going to shuffle those cards together, just making sure, if I show you here, that I'm not shuffling into this this reversed portion here. I'm not shuffling into that reversed portion. So after I've done the shuffle, you're going to have that card on the bottom, face down, bunch of face-up cards, face-down cards, face-up card, right? Let me just do that again for you so you can see. So you're here, and you say, look, I'm going to take the cards, I'm going to shuffle them like this. Half face up and half face down. So you can see the face-up cards and the face-down cards really are being shuffled together. It looks very deceptive. Now, all I need to do, this reverse card at the bottom is their selection. I just need to put this into the middle of the deck, and the way to do that is to just do a slip cut. So as I'm showing their face up and face down, I'm going to slip cut that to around about just less than the halfway point. So now their card is reversed in the middle of the deck like that. So now we come to the actual triumph part, the bit that requires the second deal. All you're going to do is a second deal. Now, like I said, I've got the worst second deal in the world. It is terrible, but it absolutely works for real people. I just give it a slight upward motion as I deal, and it looks incredible. This moment where they know that the cards are being shuffled face up into face down, and then to see that you're just dealing cards out and they're all face up, it looks really great. I took 2 there, but it doesn't really matter. But you're just going to do the second deal 12 times, and it looks like you've just dealt the cards, the face-up cards out the deck. I mean, you can see that, Michael. Does that look pretty good?
Yeah.
It just looks like... And you've got to remember it from the audience's point of view. They think that the cards are being shuffled face up into face down, and there's face-up cards everywhere. So the fact that every time you deal, you're just dealing a face-up card, and they can see face-down cards on top, it looks really strong. So you do all of that, and you say, I've left one in there. And now because of how it's done, you've basically effectively done a triumph. So now when you spread through the cards, there's going to be one card face up in the middle of the deck, and that's their selection. And all you've got to do is turn those back over on top of the deck, and now you're reset, and you can go into any other routine you want to go into. It's, well, I say it's reset, it's a regular deck. There's no reset. It's just done. You're ready. You want to do it again, you do your Brownie reversal with 12 cards, and you reset it that way. But that's the routine. It's a really fun way of doing Triumph, and it's also a very interesting premise. Okay, so let's talk about another routine now. Let's talk about... basically, the best way to describe this is a second deal color-changing deck. And this was inspired behind Stranger's Gallery. Now, if you don't know Stranger's Gallery is John Bannon's version of the classic color changing deck. And what made it unique to a lot of other versions out there is it kind of starts with a little packet trick. So you start off with 4 cards. Well, there's a prediction involved in it and so on and so forth, but when you start going into the changes of the backs of the cards, first of all, the cards are changing one at a time in a back, and then all the rest of the cards change at the same time. And it's a really nice, it's one of my favorite color changing decks. I love performing Stranger's Gallery, always have, always will. Now, it does use some gaffed cards. Now, that's not really a problem. This started off as a creative exercise of how I could achieve the same sort of thing as Stranger's Gallery, but without actually going down the route of using gaffs. And over the course of maybe a year or two, this became what you're about to see now. Now, what's really interesting about this is the fact that it's a great opener, and the reason it's a great opener is because obviously any color changing deck is a great opener. This is no exception, because they think that the cards that they're being used are a red pack, for example, and then all of a sudden it turns blue. Perfect. What we have here, and what's really interesting here, is that you have this situation where they pick a card and it's lost in the deck. And then all of a sudden, you start talking about different colors. And as you talk about these different colors, you start dealing these color. You start taking cards, and as you deal the cards onto the table, they start changing color to match the colors that you're naming. And it looks incredible. It really does look like you just go, right, blue, boo, that would look like that. Green, boo, that would look like that. Yellow, boom, that would look like that. And it's this really nice way of every single card is changing. And then you've got the kicker ending of every single card in the deck changing, and you've found the selected card as well. And the whole routine, obviously there's a couple of other different moves in there, but the majority of the routine uses nothing more than a second deal. And the second deal in this context is very, very interesting, because it allows you to have this really visual color change. Because if they're convinced that the entire deck is red, and they should be convinced that the entire deck is red because there's a lot of subtleties, then when you do that second deal, there is absolutely no way they can backtrack what's going on. It looks absolutely impossible. Well, I think I've said enough. Let's have a look at it right now. This is the second deal color changing deck. I'm going to do a performance, and then I'll explain how it all works.
I'm going to show you a trick, a card trick. You don't see many of those, do you, Jack? I'm going to show you a card trick.
I have nightmares about cards.
Yeah, nightmares about card tricks. Here's the thing. Most magicians, when they have you pick a card, what they'll do is they'll go through the cards like this. You'll say stop, and they'll either have you pick that card, or sometimes what will happen is they'll have you take the face down card, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, and that's all well and good, and there's no problem with that. But I'm going to try and do it a different way. Okay. So I'm not going to spread through the cards like this. Instead, I'm going to bevel the cards. That is called beveling the cards, right? And once I've beveled the cards, I'm going to run my thumb down, and you're going to say stop, and wherever you say stop, you'll get the card, right? Now, here's the thing. Don't stop on the bottom card, because I know that's the Jack of Hearts, and I don't want you saying I know what the card was ahead of time, right? So I'm going to riffle down. You just say stop anytime you want.
Stop.
Right there. Do you want to go one more? Are you okay?
That'll do.
That'll do right there. Okay, brilliant. So I told you not to stop on the Jack of Hearts, but you didn't. You stopped on this card right here, the Six of Hearts. Are you happy with the Six of Hearts?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not six.
Yeah, not bad. It's an okay card.
It's not an ace, but yeah.
It's not an ace. Do you want to sign the card? You can do if you want to. Well, there you go. That's all. Sign it for me. Just write your name. J-A-C.
I can spell my own
I
name.
was just trying to help, you know. I know you struggle with the longer words, so there you go. Card goes down in the middle. Now, what I want you to do is push it in, and on the count of 3. How's my acting? How'd that happen? Oh my God, I didn't get the break. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to try and find your card through process of elimination, Jack. In other words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take every other card and eliminate it until I get to your card. It's a long trick, but it's pretty cool.
God, I don't know where for.
How I eliminate the cards are interesting, though, because obviously you're not colourblind, are you? Because if you're colourblind, this is the worst trick in the world.
I can promise you I'm not colourblind.
Good, because obviously the deck is red, but let's see. We'll try blue first of all. Watch, if I take this card here and blow on it, it's blue.
Is it?
Yeah, because I blew in it.
Get out.
No. Well, that was a new gag. You've not heard that one before.
It's not cheesy.
No, seriously, it's blue.
It is blue.
Yeah, that's how we're going to eliminate the cards. Let me take the next one. We'll make this one green. Watch. All I have to do is that.
It is green.
Exactly. I mean, it wouldn't be very good if it wasn't. I
was waiting for another cheesy joke.
No, there's no cheesy joke. Watch this.
Yellow.
Purple.
Purple.
Sarah's favourite colour. I can actually take these cards. Apparently, I'm the only one impressed by this, Jack. Is this not amusing you at all? This is not. I'm literally changing the packs of cards here for your amusement and your pleasure, and you're just like, yeah, I see this every day.
I do see this every day.
That's a good point. You do see it every day, actually, don't you? What colour did you say before?
Yellow.
Okay, if you want yellow, I'll give you yellow. There you
Hey.
go. I'm literally at this point, you know what? This is going to take a long time.
Just a tad, yeah.
So let me see if I can speed things up a bit. Watch this red one. If I take this red one and just rub here. See, look, that's subtle. It's a slightly different shade of red. It's a slightly different shade of red.
So looking at a fucking pack of Skittles.
No, looking at a pack of Skittles would look something like that. That's a pack of Skittles. Look at that. I mean, that's amazing, right? I mean, there is one card that's completely white, and that one says your card on it. I mean, that's the only one that says your card on it. There is one in there that says your card. It is the only one, which means, my friend, this must be your sign card. There you go. Wow. Okay, so let's talk about how to do rainbow packs. So, basically, you're going to need a couple of things. So first of all, you need a rainbow deck. This is actually a spectrum deck. You can get this from all good magic dealers. It's my favourite rainbow deck. There's such an eclectic range of colours in there. What you're going to have to do is take out 5 of them. You want to take out the orange one. If you're using the same deck as me, that's the Jack of Diamonds. A nice bright yellow, nice bright purple, nice bright green, and a nice bright blue. Those are the ones that you want to take. And you need a regular red card as well, okay? You will find that there are red cards in there, but if you want to get one from a regular red bicycle deck like I did, you're going to get that really kind of fun colour change at the end. So you also need a blank backed card, and you're going to write your card on it. Every time you do this, you're going to give one of these away. So if you're going to do this a few times in one night, get a few blank back cards. You can buy a deck of these really cheap and just write your card on the back of them. And then every time you do it, it's an instant reset. All you have to do is take another one of these out of your pocket. Now the setup realistically is very simple. You're just going to have the kind of off red coloured card there, followed by the yellow, then the purple, then the green, then the blue, and then the actual red card from a red rider back deck on top. This goes second from top. This card here goes second from top. So you've got red, your card, the blue card, the green card, the purple card, and the yellow card, and then the kind of the off red. That's your setup. You'll be able to instantly reset this as long as you've got a few extra your cards in your pocket. You're really good to go. Now, you could, if you wanted to, if you're going to use like a 6 of hearts like I did, you could take the other 6 of hearts out the deck. I don't bother. I switched this deck in. So this is switched in at the end of a card set, and this is kind of a finale for me. So I don't care if it's, no one's ever going to notice that. And then you want to get a red box, and you want to put it in the red box. That's important because putting it in the spectrum box it comes with will give the game away. So I put it in a red box. You take the cards out. You're subtly saying that the cards are red because they see a red box, they see a red back. You can spread the cards out like this. And the first thing I do is I do a Hindu shuffle, and which is the classic way of displaying a color changing deck. But you see a lot of times magicians do the Hindu shuffle, and they'll say, look, the faces of the cards change, but the backs don't. I don't like to do that. My reasoning for shuffling through the cards like this is I say, hey, a lot of the time when magicians do card tricks, what they'll do is they'll go through the cards like this, and they'll have you stop somewhere. And when they have you stop, you can either take the card on the face or you can take the card here that nobody can see. But I'm not going to do that. We're going to do something different. And that's kind of my reasoning for doing the Hindu shuffle there. So I do this, and then when I've got a few cards left, these are going to go on top. I'm going to hold a break, and I double undercut to the break, which is going to bring that stack back there. I can spread through at this point if I want to, and now I'm going to go into the force. Now I think of this as the bevel force. By the first person I saw do this was John Bannon in Stranger's Gallery, which this is actually based on. And he was the first person that I saw use this force. Now, this is the modified version of the force that he talked about in Smoke and Mirrors. So what you're going to do is you're going to be forcing the card second from the top, which is the your card. So you start by holding the deck face up and you bevel it like this. So you bevel the cards and you tell them you're going to riffle your thumb down the deck and they can stop anytime they want to. Now, because they're beveled, you can at that point turn your hand face up and they see red backs again. And then I take the bottom card out and I say, don't stop on this card. I know what this card is. And I'm subtly showing this card. Now, don't do that. That's going to give the game away. But you show this card. And as you put this back, look at what happens. My fingers are extended along the right side of this card. So as I put this back, I'm pushing the card, the your card, over to the right as I put that jack back. So now this is pushed over to the right. But you can't see anything because of my fingers. So they riffle and they say stop anytime they want to. When they say stop, all I do is I take all of the cards where they stopped and I strip them out. And you can put these here like this. They're going to see a red back, which is cool. And you can square this up and you can say you stopped here on this card here, the 6 of hearts. Was that clear there, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just to do that in full speed, so you can see what it looks like in full speed. You say, look, I'm going to bevel through the cards like this, and you're going to say stop anytime you want to. And wherever you say stop, that's your card. But don't say stop on the bottom card. That's the Jack of Hearts. I know that card's the one on the bottom. So, Michael, as I go through, just say stop.
Stop.
Right then, do you want to go further, or is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay, so you stopped right here. You could have stopped anywhere you wanted to. You stopped in this position. So you stopped on this card here, the 6 of Hearts. It's a great way to force that 6, and also they're seeing red backs as well, which is cool. So now I just put these on top of here, which is keeping that stack at the back. I turn these over and I have them sign that card. So that card is then signed. And now you're going to lose it in the middle of the deck, and it really does get lost. You don't need to control that card, so that card really does get lost. It's going to stay in there. And now you're going to tell them that you're going to basically find their card by process of elimination. And this is where you're going to do a necktie second deal. So you're just going to bring your hand up towards yourself. I do a strike second, so I just pull down with my thumb and I take that card off. But I do as a strike second, so I come up here like this and I say, look, watch. And I like using the blue one first because it allows me to make that terrible joke. Look, it's turned blue. Did you see it? No, it has, because I blew it. You can put that joke in if you have absolutely no standards or class when it comes to making jokes. But it's a really nice moment because they've seen red cards all the way through. They see you take that top card off. Now, there is a discrepancy, I get that, because you showed this card earlier on and you say, don't pick the top card, it's the Jack of Hearts, I know what that card is. So if you're thinking, hang on a second, but they saw the Jack of Hearts was on top, you don't have to worry, because after you did that, they were signing the card, they were putting the card back, blah, 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 blah. So it's totally not an issue. Nobody ever picks up on that. But if you're worried, as they're signing the card, just do a couple of cuts to the table and put them back, or just do an overhand shuffle and throw the cards at the back, keeping that stack in place, because then they're not going to think the Jack of Hearts is still on top. So if you're worried about that discrepancy, you can do that. I don't have a problem with it. But what's really cool is I've seen all of these red cards. So when you take this top card off, they're going to think it's red, obviously. And when it turns blue and they can examine it, and I give that out to somebody, that's a really cool moment. Now the next one, I do exactly the same thing. So I come up here and I do the second deal. And as soon as I've done the second deal, I bring this hand back down here so they can see red. So they see red, I take it, and they see red. And what Jack does is what most people do. I turn this one green, I give this to somebody else. And they'd normally go, can you do yellow? I don't know why, but that's something that comes up an awful lot, which is why yellow is positioned there. Because I go, sorry, I don't take requests, but how about my wife's favourite colour, purple? And I do purple. And that allows me to then say, hang on a second, you wanted yellow, right? Let's see what I can do. And it's very, very deceptive because you're literally, as I say, you're just doing the strike second. Now, you could do a more visual color change and have it change as it comes out if you wanted to. But I actually prefer coming up here and delaying the moment because it's changed. There's a difference between the actual moment of magic and the perceived moment of magic. From the audience's point of view, the actual moment of magic is when the card changes color. So if I do it here like this, if I just do a second deal and do it here, that is when the actual moment of magic happens, but it's also when the sleight happens. It's when the perceived moment, if you see what I mean. I want to try and separate those 2 points. So by doing it up here and bringing the card here, I've done the move, and now the actual change happens much later, so there's a big disconnect. When I've done 4, and 4 people are looking at these, this is a really strong moment, it really is. Especially if you've done a deck switch and they've seen all the cards are red and now they're changing all these different colors. Really strong moment. But now I say, well, let me see if I can try it again. Watch, and I rub, and all I'm going to do is an Erdnase change. So I do an Erdnase change, and I love the fact that I get that change, and it's very subtle. And I really point it out. I say, look, you can see that's red. Watch the red card change into a slightly different shade of red, which just gets a really great reaction. People find that very funny, which is cool. Now, if you can't do an Erdnase change and you don't want to do that change, you don't have to. There's no need to do it. But I do like doing that there. I think that's quite funny. And then you can put these on top and you can say, look, if I wanted to, let's speed up. You know, this process of elimination thing is taking a while. Let's speed up. Boom. Now I spread through and you've got that lovely display of every single card changing color. And I go through and I say, oh, there's one that's white. Look at that one. And I separate it and I say, oh, it's got your card on it. And then I take it out and I carry on spreading and I go, well, there is one card here that says your card. What's your card again? And they say 6 of hearts, and you turn it over and you go, yep, that's the one. And you give them the card. Now, the beautiful thing about this is everything at this point is examinable. They can examine everything. It's an examinable deck. You know, obviously with Stranger's Gallery, you had double backers. That's not the case here. And the reset is really simple. It looks like you're toying with the deck, but you just reverse count the 5 cards. That's it. That is the reset. I'm done. All I have to do now is reach into my pocket as I walk away from the table, take another one of my your cards out, put it second from top, and now that's reset, ready to go onto another table, and do again. It makes a great opener, it makes a great closer, and you can do it as a deck switch or you can do it as a standalone trick. It's a really great way of incorporating a second deal into a color changing deck.
Okay, so for the final routine today, I want to talk to you about another application of the second deal. And if this is the perfect example of what you can actually achieve with the second deal. Because in essence, all I'm doing in this routine is a second deal. But by doing this routine, first of all, you've got a incredibly clean force. So the effect on the audience is that you've been able to predict the card that they've stopped at. You've also got a matchup where the card that they've picked has matched, it's kind of like an invisible deck type thing, because what happens is they pick a card and the mate of that card turns over in the middle of the deck. And then on top of that, you've also got a color changing deck built into it as well. So there's a hell of a lot built into this. A lot of different magic, a lot of different a lot of different magic, a lot of different effects. There's a lot going on. It has a real big impact on the audience, but literally the only move you're using is the second deal. And you're left with a regular deck of cards that you can use to go into whatever routine you want to go into. Honestly, if you were going to sell this to, through a magic shop, the ad copy would read insane. You know, a deck of cards is bought out. The magician deals cards onto a deck of cards is bought out, and a prediction is put to one side. The magician deals cards onto the table, and the spectator can stop anytime they want to. They are completely in control of when they stop. When they do stop, first of all, the magician shows that they have made a perfect prediction of the card that they've stopped on. Second of all, with no moves at all, the matching mate of their card is going to turn over in the middle of the deck. And third of all, the entire deck is going to change color as well. I mean, what's not to love, right? That's incredibly strong. And it shows you the power of the second deal. And if there's anything that you can take from this video, if you're watching this video, it's when you learn a move and when you learn a technique or a principle or something like that, don't pigeonhole yourself into one particular adaptation of that move or that principle or that technique. Don't go, well, I've learned a color change, I've learned a second deal, so now I'm going to be able to do a gambling routine and that's it. And you use that move just for that gambling routine. Expand your horizons, think outside the box, and realize that that technique is going to allow you to open up so many other doors that you didn't even realize you're going to open up. And that's why I love learning new moves. I might not have any purpose for that move at all. I might not know what I'm going to use it for, but by learning that move, what it's going to help me do is it's going to help me solve problems that I don't even know exist right now. And what I mean is when I'm trying to create a routine, it's going to give me more tools in my tool belt. Right, okay, so I need to come up with a solution to this problem. I need to do this trick. How am I going to do this trick? Well, I did learn that move a few months ago. Would that help in this situation, right? So learn as many moves as you can and then be open as to how you're going to use it. But with that in mind, let's have a look at this right now. This is kind of a second deal prediction stroke color changing deck. There's a lot going on here. Let's have a look at this.
So Jack,
Hello.
how you doing, man? You okay?
Yeah, man.
I'm going to show you the difference between a magician, a mind reader, and an illusionist.
Oh,
Are you excited? You should be.
intrigued.
Mentalists or mind readers are all about predicting the future. And remember, I'm a mentalist now. So I'm going to be able to show you some mentalism. I'm going to put that card down there. Please remember that before I began the trick, I put that card down there. Okay, that is my prediction. After we've shown you what a mentalist or a mind reader will do, I'll show you what a magician will do. And then we'll finish off with what an illusionist would do. Jack, I have 52 cards here. They're all different. And the idea is I'm going to have you pick one of them. Now, it's a completely free choice, so I'm going to deal cards onto a table like this. And as I do, anytime you want to, just say stop.
Stop.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Did you want me to deal one more? Is that okay?
One more.
Have you ever helped a magician before, Jack? Because you're not helping one right now. That's okay.
Do you're a mentalist?
Well, you ever helped a mentalist before, Jack? Do you want one more or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Now think about this for a minute. If you'd stopped earlier, it would have been one of these cards. And if you'd stopped later, it could have been that card or that card or that. It was a free choice, right? But you ended up on this card right here, which is the 3 of spades.
Nice.
What's interesting is that I put this prediction down here from the very beginning. And this prediction says
What the
3 of spades.
hell?
That basically is what a mentalist would do, yeah. Now, an illusionist would do something completely different. An illusionist would create an illusion. And you didn't realize this, Jack, but this illusion that I created was happening right from the very first second. From the second I took the cards out the box, from the second that you picked this card, there was an illusion in place. And you weren't even aware of it. But you see, you were convinced that as I was dealing through the cards, as I was looking through the deck, that the cards were blue, right?
Yeah, blue.
But the thing is, it was an illusion.
What the fuck?
You see, this one's red, 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 this one's red. I think you get the idea, Jack. Every single one of these cards all the way through is red.
What?
That's the illusion, Jack. That's what an illusionist would do. It'd make you think one thing, but actually something else happens.
You saw blue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was an illusion. But a magician would do something completely impossible. You see, there's every card in this deck has a perfect match. The Ace of Spades would be the Ace of Clubs because they're both aces, they're both black. Queen of Hearts would be the Queen of Diamonds because they're both red and they're both queens. You get the idea?
Yeah.
So the perfect match to the 3 of Spades would be...
3 of clubs.
And if I was a real magician, I could do this without touching the deck. When you had a free choice of card, I could make one card turn over in the deck, which is the exact perfect mate of the card that you picked. And that, Jack, is the difference between a magician, a mind reader, and an illusionist. Okay, so like I said, there's a lot going on here. There's a prediction, there's a voodoo card type thing. I love the presentation of magician versus mentalist versus illusionist. I think that kind of just makes a lot of sense. Now, all you're going to do here, very, very simply, there is a setup. You're going to have a red deck and you're going to have a blue card. I've got the 3 of spades. whatever the card is that you're using, you take the perfect mate out from the red deck, and I get rid of that 3 of spades. So you'll see there's no 3 of spades in this deck. There doesn't need to be, because the 3 of spades is actually being taken away because I'm using this instead. So all you're going to do is you're going to turn that 3 of clubs, the mate to the blue card, face up and put it in the middle of the deck. And you're going to turn the, you're going to put this card on top, so the 3 of spades goes on top. And then you want to get a blue box, even though you're using a red deck, you want to get a blue box, because that hides the fact that the deck is red, and have that prediction somewhere nearby, but you want to have it that side. I just wrote it on a double blank card. So when you want to go into the routine, you bring out the deck. You don't have to say, I have a blue deck. It's obvious. The box is blue. What sort of psychopath would have a red deck in a blue box? It's kind of weird, right? So you just say, hey, I've got a deck of cards here. You put the prediction to one side and you say, I'm going to show you the difference between a magician, a mind reader, and a illusionist. And as you say that, you can spread through the deck if you want to. I know there's a card in the middle turned over, but if you spread to about this point and then push a block and spread to the end, they're not going to see that reverse card. It's just going to be hidden. So what you're going to do, and this is a Jay Sankey concept, you're going to do a second deal, but you're going to severely necktie the deck. Because what's going to happen is when you do the second deal, if you do it down here, they're going to see red cards, which is not good. So what you do is you turn the deck up towards yourself, and you do the second deal in essence, but you take that card out face up and turn it over and then bring the hand back down. And it's that rocking gesture, which is really important. But it should look really good. How does that look, Michael?
Yeah, that does look good.
It should just look like I'm just dealing blue cards from a blue deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start off by saying, look, I'm going to show you what a mentalist would do. I think this prediction is going to match perfectly. As I go through, just say stop anytime you want to. So you deal through. They say stop anytime they want to. When they say stop, and you just keep going until they say stop, you're just second dealing every single card. And it's so deceptive. They are convinced that the deck is blue now because they've seen every card that you've dealt onto the table as being blue, apparently. So when they say stop, I just take that card off, but you don't want them to see the red underneath. So I just necktie and put that deck down there as I put this card down to the table, and I pick these up and I say, look, you could have picked this one, you could have picked this one, you could have picked this one, you could have picked any of those, but you stopped right here, and I turn it over and I show the 3 of spades, and then I show that my prediction was the 3 of spades. That's the first moment of magic, which is really cool. You then say an illusionist would create an illusion, something that you weren't aware of, and I was creating an illusion at the very beginning, and they'll be going, no, you weren't, what are you talking about? And then you say, well, what colour was the deck? And they're going to say blue, and you go, no, it was red. Now, you saw from Jack's reaction, that is an insane moment right there. They just don't see that coming. And I spread through and I say, this one's red, this one's red, this one's red, this one's red. And you show that every card's red. Now, when you get to the centre, you just push a block like that so that they're not going to see that reverse card. And that's a great moment right there. Every single card has turned red. Okay, the second deal in this context is being used to really strengthen the color changing deck. Don't do that, that's bad. So it's really used to strengthen the color changing deck. But then you've got this really nice moment at the end where you talk about a magician and what a magician would do. And all you're going to do here is you're going to point out that every card has a perfect mate. So the perfect mate for the 3 of spades would be the 3 of clubs. And you just spread through the deck face down, and one card pops up in the middle of the deck, and it's the card that matches the card that they pick. Now, technically, that's kind of the same thing as the prediction, but it feels like a completely different thing, and it really punctuates the routine and gives the whole thing a really great finale. And the presentation of magician versus illusionist versus mind reader, it really kind of ties those 3 magical moments together. And then you're left with a regular deck, so you can just throw that 3 in there, get rid of the prediction and get rid of the blue back card, and you're left with a regular deck to go into whatever routine you want to go into. So there you go. That's the routine.
So there you go, guys. That's 3 routines using a second deal that you might not have seen before. 3 second deal routines that are very, very simple. Nothing really difficult here as long as you learn the second deal. And like I say, you don't have to have the perfect second deal. I have tried for years to get the perfect second deal, and I have failed. I am willing to admit to myself that I'm probably going to go to a grave at some point down the line not having a perfect second deal. But you know what? My second deal is absolutely perfect for what I need it for. If I was sitting in a room doing gambling demonstrations, probably not, but that is not something I'm interested in. So get yourself a second deal, learn how to do a second deal, try these routines, and I think that you will like them. Outside of that, don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another video, so watch out for that. And if you haven't already done so, go check out the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. There are literally hundreds of tricks on there, and we add more every 2 weeks. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.